In Iceland, winter doesn't just freeze the land, it freezes promises. And if, by the end of the year, you have nothing new to wear, the Yule Cat comes looking for you, not as a legend, but as a punishment. In the village of Rapwick, the longest night of the year was known as Yule Night. Snow buried the houses up to their windowsills, and the sea roared like something alive. The sun barely peeped above the horizon and stayed in its perpetual state of slumber. Children were warned of the Yule Cat, a creature said to be larger than any house, with eyes that glowed like frozen moons. Its rule was simple. Anyone who failed to receive new clothes before Yule would be eaten. Most families followed the tradition carefully. Socks, mittens, scarves, anything new. The first snow came early that year, soft as ash and just as heavy. It gathered on the roofs and fences, settled into the fields, and swallowed the paths between houses until the village seemed smaller, closer together, like it was bracing itself. Everyone talked about the Yule Cat, Yola Koturin. They always did when Christmas crept near, but this year the whispers were sharper. The harvest had been poor. Wool was scarce. Not every child would have something new to wear. Iosha worked her needles late into the night. She sat by the window, the oil lamp humming, her fingers stiff and aching. The wool scratched her skin, but she didn't stop. She had counted the children carefully, too carefully, some might say. She knew whose parents had died, whose father drank, whose mother had left. She knew which houses were warm and which were quiet. She knew which children would be afraid. They said the Yule Cat could smell fear, that it prowled the edges of the village, stepping softly through the snow, peering into windows, that it knew who had new clothes and who did not. Iosha didn't believe in monsters anymore. She believed in winters. She remembered one long ago, her own childhood, when she had hidden her feet beneath a blanket, pretending not to hear the wind scratching at the walls. Her mother had worked herself thin that year, too sick to spin wool, and no one had come to help. Iosha had gone to sleep on Christmas Eve wearing the same patch dress she'd worn all year. She never saw the Yule Cat, but she remembers the fear, no howling. A dead silence filled the valley. Then footprints appeared from the mountains straight toward Rapwick, not human, too deep. Dogs whimpered and hid. Then came the smell, wet fur, rotting meat, and the unnatural coldness. A shadow had passed across their window just after Iosha's grandma had placed a pair of socks borrowed from the fisherman's wife on Iosha's feet. Iosha sighed. The sweater slipped from her needles, finished at last, small, red with uneven stitches. She laid it atop the others, a quiet pile of colors waiting in the corner like sleeping birds. On Christmas Eve, Iosha bundled them into her cloak and stepped outside. The cold bit deep. Snow squeaked beneath her boots. Somewhere far off, something howled, or maybe it was only the wind slipping through the rocks. She moved from house to house without knocking. A sweater left on a chair, mittens folded beside a bed, a scarf tucked into a wooden shoe by the door. She did not stay to be thanked. At the last house, she paused. The poorest one, no light in the window. Inside slept a boy who had learned not to ask for things. Iosha placed the smallest sweater at the foot of his bed. As she turned to leave, she felt it, the weight of a gaze. She looked up. At the edge of the village, where the snow fell deepest, something large sat watching. Its eyes glimmered pale gold. It did not move closer. It did not growl. It only watched as Iosha pulled her cloak tighter and walked home. In the morning, the village woke to children laughing, tugging on sleeves that were too long, running outside to show each other their gifts. Mothers cried quietly. Fathers stood in doorways and stared at the snow, unsure what to say. Someone mentioned they hadn't seen tracks that year. Ayosha sat by her window, hands wrapped around a cup of tea, her fingers finally still. In the distance, beyond the fields, the snow lay smooth and untouched. The Yule Cat had found no one to take. The village was safe that year. Next year will be a new story.
If you like this story, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more.